This ABC15 flash briefing is sponsored by Sanderson Ford. All roads lead to Sanderson Ford.
I'm Javier Soto with your top stories from ABC15 Arizona. Corn syrup caused a scare on an Arizona railway. It happened near the California border where a train derailed Wednesday night. First responders feared it might be hazardous material that spilled, but turns out it was only corn syrup. This derailment is one of at least two that happened Wednesday, with another one happening in Washington that leaked diesel fuel. These incidents have been in the spotlight since the chemical spill in Ohio, but in reality, it's not unusual. In the past 10 years, federal data shows about 1,300 derailments a year. Seems like a lot, but to put it into perspective, that's one derailment for every 15 million tons shipped on U.S. railways. The average train hauls about 3,000 tons. We're taking action for you, digging deeper and getting some answers on recent officer-involved shootings in the city of Phoenix. So far this year, there have been 10 incidents where Phoenix police officers have opened fire on a suspect. We crunched the numbers and looked at every year since 2017, and this year is on track to pass all of those other years. ABC 15's Nick Saletti sat down with the interim police chief, Michael Sullivan, to ask him about this.
So far, this year is now outpacing all of those years going back to 2017. So what's your reaction to that?
When I first got here, one of the things that I wanted to do, I put out a plan where we were going to work on making sure our officers had what they needed to understand time distance cover, use that to their advantage. We are taking a deep dive into our use of force policy, making sure that we have the best use of force policy in the nation.
He says officers will continue to have the tools and training to respond to situations throughout the community. Taking action to help save lives, Mesa firefighters teamed up with volunteers from several Valley organizations to install new smoke alarms at the Surprise Vista Mobile Home Park. They want to remind everybody, though, to make sure they check theirs before it's too late.
Unfortunately, just like everything else, eventually over time, over wear and tear, they will diminish and they will not work anymore. So even though it's on the wall and the light is on, doesn't mean that it's working. So we need to make sure that we are cleaning our smoke alarms regularly, that we're checking the batteries, pushing the buttons, and to change them out once they get expired.
Crews also installed bathroom grab bars in some homes to help prevent falls. Recalls for children's products reached its highest level in over a decade. Kids in Danger, a nonprofit organization, found that 34% of all consumer product safety recall notices were for items used by children. Of those, 19 were recalled for lead content. The number of clothing recalls for children also doubled in 2022. The organization notes that recalls on children's items were generally corrected about 25% of the time. Uplifting Arizona from 2,600 feet, a Valley man hiked Piestewa Peak 30 times in 4 days. GJ Castillo said it took him from Thursday at 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 p.m. Saturday night, and only stopped for 2 hours to take a nap out of sheer exhaustion and safety. He did it all for his friend Miko, who is battling throat cancer. GJ said battling cancer is hard and scary, but he wanted to share that doing anything hard or intimidating is worth it.
I think people can relate that this mountain is symbolic. It represents all the mountains that people are going through in their lives, and it's very inspiring that they can continue climbing their own mountains in life.
GJ was able to raise thousands for Miko's mounting medical bills. He posted about his journey back and forth up the mountain.
Tracking your most accurate forecast, I'm meteorologist Jorge Torres. We are expecting a warmer and drier Friday here in the Valley, with temperatures starting off in the mid-50s in the morning under mostly clear skies throughout the day, eventually warming up into the mid-60s by noon and topping out back in the lower 70s, which is actually still below average for this time of year, but warmer than it has been. Elsewhere across northern Arizona, tomorrow will keep highs in the 40s in Flagstaff, Heber, and Shello, 50s in Payson, Prescott, and Sedona, with 60s and 70s throughout the lower deserts. But the weekend looking fantastic, mostly sunny on on Saturday with a high of 74, but turning breezy at times for the latter part of the weekend and partly to mostly cloudy with those gusts around 25 miles per hour. But the good news, at least for now, is that we've taken those rain chances out for at least a couple of days then. Here's your 7-day forecast. We go from the mid-70s essentially all the way through Monday with a high of 76 that day. Then the chance of rain picking up Tuesday and cooler on Wednesday, and in parts of the high country, more rain and snow in the forecast with highs still in the 30s and 40s.
For the latest headlines, weather and traffic, head to ABC15.com or download the free ABC 15 mobile app.
This ABC 15 flash briefing is sponsored by Sanderson Ford. All roads lead to Sanderson Ford.